Hey everybody, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today I'm looking at Football U, a 1 to 4 player competitive and solo game that's currently on crowdfunding. And no disclaimer needed, I don't ever accept any money from publishers, I just want to help you make an informed decision by showing the game. And if you like the content on the One Stop Co-op Shop, consider supporting us through Patreon. You get early access to our videos and exclusive videos every month you can't see anywhere else. You can also listen to our weekly podcast for reviews and design discussions, or join the conversation and say hi on our Discord. So as I mentioned, Football U can be played with up to 4 players, where you'll actually be going against each other, and sometimes against bots if you're playing with fewer than 4. But in the solo mode I'm going to show you are just playing against bots, and you want to get enough wins across 3 seasons to get into the top 5, to get all the way here, or maybe even to number 1 if you can. And like I said, the game is played across 3 seasons. In each season, you will first be doing a preseason, where you'll be drafting players and getting rerolls and things ready to help you win games as you spend your 15 weeks of preseason time. Then each player will play 3 games, and some players will play a bowl game. In solo, you're going to play all 4 of those, of course. Then you repeat that, preseason, 4 games, preseason again, 4 games, with wins in season 2 and 3 being worth a lot more to get your ranking up. And at least in solo, you see how well you do, and the actual games are controlled with dice that represent your offense and defense. So that's kind of the basic structure, but let's just start playing. It's a very straightforward game. So you start the game with one of 4 random player boards. In this case, I'm playing a team from the Down South region. And you have 7 positional spots on your board, and 2 of them have the words walk-on them, which means you're going to start with a walk-on player. That is temporary. They will go away at the end of the season, but it gives you a little bit of bump for your first season as you try to fill your other spots. You also get a random coach. All coaches start out as Joe Default on one side, but if you have a bad season in any of the 3 seasons, winning 0 or 1 games, you get to flip them as you fire your old coach and get someone new. Here I would have Marlon Title, who's going to make me have a better chance of winning ties in overtime, who's going to make it easier for me to train offensive players and also make it easier for me to recruit them. It costs less. You might even want to, on purpose, lose some games in season 1 where it's worth a lot less to get the better coach. We'll see how that goes. Then we're going to fill in our available players. With 2 to 4 players, you fill in all of these spots, so there are 12 players available. But in solo, you only fill in the 2 slots for your region, the Down South region, and then 4 slots for transfers. The rest of these slots won't be used unless I want to spend some of my time in the preseason to scout out some players in those regions, which will let me draw random cards blindly from the bottom of the deck to fill those spots and give me somebody else to purchase. But now I'm going to go through my preseason. I will be spending time, these little hourglasses you can see on the players and such, until I get to 15 weeks of time spent. If it was a multiplayer game, how it works is whoever's furthest back gets to go next. So let's say I did 3 weeks, but then the next player did 4 weeks, then it would be me again. Let's say I go to 7, they go from 4 to 5, oh, it's still them, to 6, that sort of system you might have seen in other games. And what can you spend your weeks in the preseason for? Well, first you can spend a single week getting what's called a game plan token. These just give you re-rolls in the games after the preseason. Secondly, you can get more walk-ons for 1 week each just to fill in spots temporarily if your team isn't looking strong enough. Third, you can recruit players by paying their cost. Now, if you get either of the players from your home region, they cost -1. So here, Troy Blicky would cost only 3, and Levon Sprint would cost 2. Once you've recruited a player, you can give them some special training, paying the cost on your coach to flip them to the more powerful side, but they will flip back at the end of the season, so that's a temporary boost. And then finally, as I said, in solo, you have the special option to draw a card from the bottom of the deck and fill in one of these regions to give you more people to buy. And to look at what's going on with the players, they have their position here, so you can only put them in a slot that matches their position. The dice they give you are here, and in a second I'll show you on the player board what they mean. Then you've got their play style here, which means nothing in and of itself, but if you get another player that matches the play style of a player you already have, then you get one of these cards that shows they have chemistry and they're playing well together, and it gives you a one-time bonus when you play the card for some effect. And finally, many cards will have an ability down here at the bottom. Potential just means that when you train them, they become extra good. But otherwise, they will be powers that can modify the games while you're playing during the actual season. So that's kind of what you're looking at with the different players. And just to show you a few more things, then we'll be ready to go. For the positions, you have 1 quarterback position, you have 1 running back and 1 wide receiver position, and then a flex position that can have either of those. Then you've got a defensive lineman, a linebacker, and a defensive back. So 3 defense and 4 offense, basically. And you can see the sort of tiers of dice here. So the worst defensive dice is purple, then white. Although the white die is a little different, that it can also score. I guess the 7 here represents like an interception for a touchdown, and the 2 represents represents a safety. But then gray and black are the most consistent defensive dice, while orange is the weakest offensive die, going all the way up to blue. All right, so with that being said, so I've got a couple of QBs. Vince is actually better than Charlie, because Vince has 2 greens, whereas Charlie has a green and an orange. But Charlie's got the potential word, which means when you flip him, holy crud, that's the best quarterback in the game once he flips. That might be worth investing in. But on the other hand, Vince is really good without having to invest any extra time training him every season. And he matches up with Levon and Troy, who are both discounted for me to buy. So I could get all of them and just have the wildest offense right at the start, although my defense will be lagging. And also, it's not always great to buy cheaper players like Levon for 3 and Troy for 4, because then later on, if you want to buy like more expensive players to fill those positions, you just have to put them to the side. And when you have extra players on the bench, you still get to benefit from whatever's on the bottom, and you still get their icons to potentially pair with other players for those bonus cards. But besides that, they don't do anything for you, so wasting weeks getting them is not ideal. But what the hey. So I'm going to get Vince Scope. That costs 5 weeks to scout and recruit him. So I got my QB. And then I am going to get Troy, slightly better than Levon, especially because he has an ability to re-roll an offensive die. We'll show you what that means soon. So that's going to cost me only 3 because he's from my region. And this 2-player, 3-player, 2-player thing means that the players have to discard cards from the transfer area to represent them getting taken by other teams in a game with fewer than 4 players. You don't do that in solo. You just keep everybody around. But all right, we get Troy. You can just put the dice right on them to remember what you're getting. And because my new wide receiver matches my quarterback style, I get a card. Blitz package. Helmets mean that you have to use this before you have a game, whereas whistles can modify afterwards. Ooh, +3 purple dice, so I can just have way better defense in a tough game like that. All right, I have another 7 time left. Don't forget, I could draw some random people to have the chance to maybe fill my spots better. Or I could go for a defender, although Levon would fill out my last offensive thing. But this dude has a black die, the best defense die in the game, and they can once per season turn a 3 into a blank, so they stop a field goal, which seems pretty dang good. So yeah, let's go ahead and spend 5. So that puts us to 13 for Randy Baum. Oh shoot, I already have a walk-on there, and you can't move them to other positions. So I could just replace the walk-on, but it's certainly not as good as not wasting an entire die. Although the purple defense die is pretty crud. It stops an offensive die 1/3 of the time, and then it's blank otherwise. Yeah, you know what? Get the heck out of here. We're taking Randy. I mean, this guy technically is on the bench, I guess, but he has no bonuses, so it doesn't matter. Okay, then for my last 2 weeks, I will get 2 of those game plan reroll tokens. And that's it for the preseason. All these guys get discarded, and we get into the game. So I've got all my dice here, and we're going to play a game against Cupcake University, then against Pansy State, then against Doormat Tech, and then finally against Mid-Atlantic, which is a pretty tough one for the bowl game. So we're starting against Cupcake U. So they're going to get a red, a green, and an orange offense die, and 2 gray defense. So how does that compare to me? They're actually pretty similar. I mean, I have more offense with an extra green on top of them, but they have more defense, although their gray is worse than my black. All right, so how does a game progress? So first, we can use any helmet abilities we want. So I could discard my Blitz package card to roll 3 extra purple dice. That seems to be all I've got. I'm not going to do that here. This should theoretically be one of the easier games. Then we each roll our dice. So they're rolling theirs, I'm rolling mine. And let's just roll them, and then I'll explain what they mean. All right, here's Cupcake. Oh my gosh, that was the worst. I think I'll win. Oh yeah, okay. That was literally the best roll. The best and the worst roll possible. But to explain what would have happened, we've got our results here. The X's on defense dice can cancel out any die of your choice from your opponent's side, except for white scoring defensive dice, since that's supposed to be like interception. Your defense can't stop that. And then after you cancel out anything with X's, you just total up the points you got. So here I got 28. I got 4 touchdowns. They got nothing. This is very sad. But if that had not been the case, we could use whistle abilities to change stuff and game plans to re-roll our dice. And just to show you, I do have a few whistle abilities. I've got one that lets me re-roll an offensive die, and this guy lets me turn an opponent's 3 into a block. But when you use any of these abilities, you put one of these little football tokens on it, which marks that you cannot use that ability for that player for the rest of this season, although those will be removed, and you'll get the ability to use them again after the season is over. And don't forget, if you've replaced a player, they still go over here on your bench, and you can still use their ability and still benefit from their icon, although their die does not help you at all. All right, that was sort of a silly first game. So next we are against Pansy State. They've got 3 greens, a gray, and a white. So I think we still have the advantage here. So still not going to use my Blitz package because I can save it for next round. All right, Pansy State. It's definitely better than the nothing last time. And for us, okay. So that's pretty equal. Their X can cancel out any of my non-white dice, so they would always cancel out the highest value. I would cancel out theirs. So I've got two options here. I can use one of my rerolls, well, or more than one. And if I'm understanding the rules correctly, because this part is a little bit less clear in the prototype rules, I believe you have to pick all the dice you're going to reroll before you reroll any of them. I'm not 100% on that part, and you definitely can't reroll the same die more than once. That's very clear in the rules. I could also use Troy's ability to reroll an offensive die, or I could just keep things simple and have Randy turn the 3 into a blank and win no matter what. Yeah, we'll do that. So Randy blocks their field goal, and then they take out my 7, and I take out theirs, so I win 3-0. That was pretty close. All right, next up is Doormat Tech. They have a blue die, the best offensive die in the game, but only a purple defense, so they are much more offensively focused for what it's worth. But I'm still going to save my Blitz package, maybe for the bowl game, because that should be the toughest one. All right, so wait, I'm missing a die. There we go. Here's Doormat Tech. Okay, not any better than the last team. Oh, they're my... Yeah, I could re-roll a bunch, but I'd have to roll well. So I think I just take it and don't get my third win this time. Remember, Season 1 wins are the least valuable in the game, so it's not that big a deal. And our final game's against Mid-Atlantic. Look at their defense. Black dice are the best defensive dice in the game. There's a reasonably high chance we won't score even a single point in this game. So what the hey, let's use our Blitz package before rolling to add 3 purple dice to us. Maybe we can shut each other out and at least go to overtime. All right, this one could hurt. Here's Mid-Atlantic. Oh, that was not good. Black dice have 4 out of 6 faces with X's, so that was pretty rough. Come on. Oh, did we just tie them? Okay. Well, hey, adding the 3 purple dice definitely helped. So I will first use Troy Blicky to reroll an offensive die. I don't think, I'm still not sure how the rerolls work. Do I have to also say I'm going to reuse a game plan? I don't know. But, my green has it's only a 50-50 chance of scoring, which actually means I guess rerolling my black. Oh, no, that's right. Troy has to be. So here, I'm going to assume that I have to announce all my rerolls and then do all of them. Maybe that's wrong, but I'm going to use one of these. I'm going to reroll my black and my green, and either a score or a stop will be enough, or both. Both is good. So they stop one of my touchdowns, but we win 10-0 after we take out both of theirs. Heck yeah. So we got 3 season wins out of a possible 4. Each one's worth 1 point. So we are still unranked, almost in the top 25 of college teams. Then this goes back down to nothing as we set up for season 2. I keep any rerolls I have. I remove any tokens from players so I can use their power again. We did not win only 0-1 games, so my coach does not get fired. I lose all my walk-ons. And if anybody had been trained and flipped, they would go back. But yeah, we still got Vince, Troy, and Randy. Let's try to fill out some more stuff. We got 15 weeks again, and let's see who we got. Okay, so we got 2 solid wide receivers that could go in my flex spots with the discount. Oh man, an amazing quarterback. 2 reds instead of 2 greens. Greens, as you saw, get points 50% of the time, with 1 being a field goal. Reds get it on 4 times, and 3 out of 4 are touchdowns. But, yeah, there's not much point. Ooh, I don't have any running backs, and this guy's awesome. Look, a blue, which is the best offensive die in the game, and an orange, and he can turn a 3 into a 7, turn a field goal into a touchdown. What? Yeah, let's go for Roy, or Ron, sorry. That fills my running back slot, so I still have my flex slot open. Brian Stride. I mean, really, his best thing is the +1 black die ability. I could just get him literally to not use him. Gosh, there really isn't much defense this time, is there? Maybe I do get one of the really good wide receivers and just kind of finish my offense and hope for some defensive players next time. Wait, why is this guy so much better than this guy? Does he, level up way better? He gets a blue and an orange, which is the same, and reroll an offensive die, but he's already got turn a 3 into a 7, and then turn a blank into a 7, so his dice don't change. But yeah, I mean, he just seems better. So yeah, I'll get him. So that's 11, and that's it. I've got every slot of my offense filled. By the way, I have a bunch of non-match things, so I did not get any more cards. But yeah, my offense is insane, because again, blue dice are the best in the game. I got 4 left. I mean, he's not great, but he'd still give me a purple, so maybe I get him as my lineman. And +1 black die, that's the best defense in the game. I can use that 1 out of 4 games each season, which is not nothing. My other option is, to take 1 to get a random card up here, but then I would only have 3 weeks left to, I'm going to get Bryant. Although, does he also not match up? Yeah, geez, another symbol I don't have. Okay, that's fine. I got him. And that leaves me just 2 weeks, so I could train somebody. But I'll get 2 rerolls again. All right, bye-bye, y'all. And, I mean, my team's pretty solid. My defense I'm not loving, and I still don't have a great defensive back. Hopefully I'll be able to get one next season. But again, my offense might carry me through. We'll see. It's a rematch against Mid-Atlantic. Let's see how their defense matches up against my stronger offense. Then OKU, then Fairhurst, and then the bowl game against Winmore. So I just have, at this point, 1 helmet ability to add a black die. Not going to use that for now. So let's face off against Mid-Atlantic again. It's really offense versus defense. Let's see how they do first. Jeez Louise, that's the best they could have rolled. I don't know if I'm going to beat that. Although, maybe. Okay, no, crud. Look, so I've got 4 touchdowns, but they stop them all. I've got 2 stops, so they've still got 1 touchdown coming through. So what abilities do I have? I can turn a 3 into a blank. A 3 into a 7, a 3 into a 7. Literally, there are no 3s. I can reroll an offensive die. Or I can just use some rerolls. So if I reroll my red, it's a 50% chance to get a 7. That would tie it up at least for the tiebreaker. Although that's just a total crapshoot because we're both rolling the same dice since my coach is not leveled up. I have to reroll 2 things, like my green and my red, to be able to win it outright, but those are pretty low odds. Although I can't forget the ability to turn a 3 into a 7. So you know what? I'm going to use Troy's ability to reroll an offensive die and 1 of my 3 generic rerolls. And come on, show me some 7s and 3s. That's fine. That's fine. So they stopped 4 of my touchdowns. I stopped 2 of theirs. 14-7. Take that, Mid-Atlantic. You wanted revenge, and you came out swinging like the strongest you've ever been, and it just was not enough. All right, game use against OKU, which honestly, I think is less scary. Look, they've lost. They've traded in 2 black defense dice for a single gray, which is weaker, and they got 1 more red. I think we'll take them down. So yeah, I'm still saving my 1 add a black die ability. God dang it, they rolled perfect. Okay, I rolled very well as well, although not as well as them. Gosh, so they're crushing 3 touchdowns currently, which would leave me with 10 and them with 21 after I cancel 1. Now my blue missed, and that pretty much always rolls right. I can change the 3 into a 7. Gosh dang it, why are they rolling so well? So wait, if I rolled this and got a 7, if I changed that into a 7, how would that change things? That would give me 21, which would just tie them. All right, well, let's try it. I'm just going to reroll my blue. That's it. Got the 7. I will use 1 of my 2 guys to change a 3 into a 7. So like I said, we're tied up. And so we go to overtime. I'm rolling a green and a purple. The AI always rolls green and purple. And we're just going to keep on rolling until one of us has a clear majority, but we can still use rerolls and whistle abilities, so I certainly have the advantage. All right, so this will be me. That's not great. And this will be them. Okay. Randy Baum can turn a 3 into a blank, so boom. Okay, me, nothing, them, nothing. I mean, they stopped my nothing. Okay, me again. Okay, touchdown. Gosh darn it. Okay, and again. Ooh, there we go. There we go. Okay, so we did get our second win, but gosh, it hurt. All right, now we're playing against Fairhurst. Better offense, but weaker defense. Okay. I mean, so far, it's just they've been rolling great. Like, I think my team's still strong. All I have left is I can turn a 3 into a 7, and I can add a black die, and I've got a single reroll. And I want to save the add a black die for the game against Winmore. So let's just play this one straight and see what happens. Okay, so them, that's way worse than what we've been rolling. And me, I think that's easily a win, right? I stopped their touchdown. They stopped one of mine, so 21-3. Yeah. And that takes us against Winmore, who has, wow, really good offense and really good defense. Jeez. Oh, wait a second. That's a 7. Did I still win? Yeah, I still won. It was 10-21, but yeah, that die's messed up. Let's get rid of that one. All right, so Winmore, me, I'm going to use my helmet ability to add a black die, and I've still got a reroll and a turn a 3 into a 7 from Ron option. All right, here's Winmore. Not that good, Winmore. Not that good. Oh, I got him. I stopped both their touchdowns and still made 21 points. So I won every game that season. Wait, so how many? Oh, crud. No, I was on 3. So each of these are worth 2 now. So 2, 4, 6, 8 in the top 10. So to get to the top 5 and technically win, I got to win at least 2 out of my next 4 games. And I have 1 reroll left. And let's see who's coming in. I'd love a defensive back. I'd love a better lineman. Both those would be my priorities. Defensive back. A really good defensive back. Ooh, man. Although, again, nothing is matching up. And I also didn't get a lineman to replace my weakest player. But that's okay. Let's just do like a lot of training this time. So I'll get Sean Spears for 6. And again, no matches with style at all, except for my quarterback and wide receiver. Everyone is just like doing their own thing. All right, I've got 9 more weeks. So I want to flip 4 of these guys for 8 weeks and get a second reroll for my 9th. So let's see. I'm going to flip my quarterback, because that gives me 2 reds. Oh, and add a red die once. That's even better than I thought. So that's 2. Ron changes from an orange to a green, but can change a blank into a 7 instead of a 3 to a 7. That's crazy. So that's 2. Maybe all my guys with like 2 dice. He would keep the same dice, but just be able to turn a blank into a 7. So not as good as Ron, so never mind. How about Sean? He goes from a purple to a white, and can also let you reroll defense time. This guy adds a purple and can turn a 7 into a blank. That seems great. So that's my 3rd, and 1 more. He just gets a white instead of a purple. Meh. How about Troy? He goes from a red to a blue. Nah. All right, I guess we'll flip Sean and get his reroll thing. And then, like I said, a single reroll. All right, here we go. We just need to win 2 out of 4. I think we can do it. Whoops, I got to redo my entire dice pool because so many people leveled up. And man, look how much better my defense is. I mean, it's still maybe not as good as like 4 black dice. But remember, my whites can score and can't be canceled by X's, so that's cool. And we're going against Football U, the name of the game. Then, Winmore again. Then the Hail Marys, and then Titan U. Let's see if we can beat them all. Maybe become first in the league. Oh my gosh, why is Football U so good? Aren't they better than Winmore? Oh, I guess it's kind of 50-50 because Winmore has slightly weaker offense, but slightly better defense. All right, so for Football U, that was very good. I mean, blue dice, what do you expect? So they came out pretty strong. I'm not using anything yet, though, right? I want to save my powers for later. Oh, I came out pretty strong, too. I think that's even, right? We both have 4 touchdowns and 2 X's. The fact that it's a white doesn't matter because they can prevent some of my other touchdowns. So I literally just need a point. Let's see. Randy Baum can turn a 7 into a blank. Or Ron Option can turn a blank into a 7. Either one will do the job. But I have more defensive things, so I'll turn a blank into a 7 with Ron. So that means they got 14 and we got 21. Heck to the yeah. And now we're going against Winmore, which is pretty similar. Just like I said, slightly better defense. I don't think I need to add anything. I think I'm going to crush these guys. Well, let's reroll that red. Okay, good. Still a blank. And yeah, they got to be dead, right? Oh, that's a lot of field goals, though. They only get 7 after my cancel, and I get 13. Another win. So that's already enough, but let's go all the way. It's time to take on the Hail Marys. And let's see, this time I will use my power to get an extra red die. And then I'll use my 1 to get an extra black die in the last game. Got a lot of dice. That was pretty good for me. Definitely a lot of defense. And, let's reroll that one. Okay, nothing. I think I won, right? I literally destroyed their offense, and I got 10 points. And then let's just eat the last team alive and show who's boss. We're getting an extra black die this round, and we can turn a 7 of theirs into a blank. We can turn a 3 of mine into a 7. We can reroll 2 dice for free, plus 2 more. We're going all the way with this. Although it is Titan U, the best they have to offer, but I don't think they're good enough. Oh, they are pretty good, though. All right. Okay, so we got a safety. Interesting. So I'll use Randy to turn 1 of their 7s into a blank. Bye-bye. I'll use Braylon to turn 1 of my 3s into a 7. And then I can reroll 4 dice between my abilities. Wait, was that theirs? Yeah, that's theirs. Yeah, I can reroll 4 dice between my abilities and everything. So 1, what are my best options? 2, 3, and I guess 4. Oh my gosh. All right, so we stop every touchdown they were going to get. They stopped 2 of ours, so we win 23-0. Y'all had no chance. And let's see if it was enough. That is 4 times 3, so 3, 6, 9. Oh, we're so in number 1 that it's silly. But anyway, there you go. That was Football U, the solo mode. And let's do some quick thoughts on this. Again, the game is, of course, still in development, still on crowdfunding, but I do have some initial thoughts. So on the positive side, the core gameplay is fun and quick. It is fun to get different players for your team, to sometimes go cheaper to get like a lot of spots filled, to sometimes like spend all your money on a couple of players that are really dominant, and trying to get the synergies, trying to get good powers, maybe even getting some extra players just for their powers. That's all fun. Especially in multiplayer where you have more people to choose from and you're competing for them more, and like you might want to get the discounts for yours or steal somebody else's discounts. You can see what positions they need and try to snipe them. Solo is not quite as interesting in this phase because, first of all, it's much more luck dependent. Like in my game, I got lucky and every position I needed was there with a reasonable player. But like if I needed just a defensive back and none of them came out, that would have certainly lowered my team's abilities quite a bit, having one fewer player's dice to contribute. And similarly, sometimes it's easier to get those synergies, sometimes it's harder. So certainly a decent amount of luck in this one just in the team creation, especially again in the solo mode, even before you get to the games. And then the actual games, the actual dice rolling is a ton of fun. It does get a little muddled sometimes in the turn order on who uses their abilities first. How it works is the away team uses their abilities first and then the player team. But they have this whole thing where, like, you pick who's re-rolling and then you re-roll, but then you can use whistles, but you can also use whistles in the other phase. So I hope they clarify in the rulebook a bit more of how the timing works for players, just a bit more, because it is pretty important, like, knowing which abilities you want to use and when you want to use them. But besides that, it is awesome that an entire game is, summarized in like 5 seconds, and an entire season, even with 3 or 4 players, can be played in 5 minutes. It's a very punchy system. It reminds me a bit of 7th Inning Stretch that Gabe's company did, even though this one is designed by Gabe and not published by his company. But some of the similar kind of quick sports game vibes there. Now, one major concern right now is that unless I'm misplaying something, it just seems like the bots are way too weak. Like you saw, that is, we're not rolling anywhere near the dice I was rolling in solo. And even in 2 and to an extent 3-player, you're still playing against the bots as well. And in my, for example, 2-player games, we have, just like you saw in the video, totally dominated in Season 3, kind of dominated in Season 2. Season 1 has really been the only time that the bots have been kind of on par with us. So again, maybe I'm cheating or playing the game wrong, but I think they might need to bump the bots up. Like, I know they don't have room for more dice here, but I think they might just have to redesign the graphics for the cards so they can fit more, because these guys are not leveling up enough to match the players. Which is a bummer in solo because you have an anticlimactic finish like I just did where it's kind of too easy to win. And also it makes in the multiplayer games the bot matches in the later seasons not really matter that much because really all that is going to decide things is when the players play each other. And of course, that means the dice luck in those player versus player games is incredibly impactful. If one player rolls, all blanks like I did, and the other player rolls a bunch of stuff, whoops, huge swing in the standings because one player gains the win and one player gains the loss. So yeah, this is a game you should come into, at least in its current development, as a fun, quick little sports experience with some tactics and some fun powering up. But, the balance might be weird and the randomness might not be for everybody. So if you don't have the right mindset, I think the game could fall a little bit flat sometimes. But hey, if they make the bots a bit stronger, then I think the game will be a lot more exciting. Each game will be impactful and meaningful. It won't be an automatic win in solo or multiplayer, and that should improve the entire experience overall. So thanks for watching, everybody, and a special thank you to our biggest Patreon supporters, J. William F., Steve Wren, Pedro Lucas, Miles, KCW, Andrew R., and Chris C. We'll see you at the next stop.